Once upon a time there was a young girl named Mary Lennox who lived in India. Mary was a girl with pale skin and piercing eyes, surrounded by the luxury and comfort that her parents' wealth could provide. However, her parents, always busy with their own lives and social events, paid little attention to her, often leaving her alone and without company. With a lack of affection and care, Mary became a spoiled and lonely child, accustomed to ordering servants and finding entertainment in her own whims. One day, a terrible cholera epidemic ravaged the region, spreading fear and despair throughout India. The relentless illness took not only Mary's parents, but also the lives of many servants in the house, leaving an unbearable emptiness and an even greater sense of abandonment in the young woman's life. With no alternative, and now an orphan, Mary was sent to live with her uncle, Mr. Archibald Craven. Mr. Craven was a mysterious and melancholy man, marked by a personal tragedy that had transformed his life. He resided in a gloomy and imposing mansion in England known as Misselthwaite Manor. The house, shrouded in mist and shadow, seemed to echo its owner's sadness and isolation. Every corner of the mansion told a story of times gone by, with long corridors, dusty rooms, and forgotten gardens. Mary, accustomed to the warmth and liveliness of India, found herself in a completely different world, full of secrets and mysteries waiting to be uncovered. The cold climate and austere atmosphere of Misselthwaite Manor contrasted sharply with everything she knew, marking the beginning of a new phase in her life, full of challenges and unexpected discoveries. Misselthwaite Manor was a large and mysterious house, a veritable fortress of secrets and forgotten stories, full of locked rooms and dark corridors that seemed to go on forever. The high ceilings and walls covered in ancient tapestries added to the dark and oppressive atmosphere of the place. Every closed door whispered promises of unrevealed mysteries, and every dark corner seemed to silently watch the lonely new resident. Mary felt lonely and bored, wandering the vast halls and uninhabited rooms. The melancholy of the place was reflected in her own spirit, and she spent hours looking out the window, contemplating the gray sky and the desolate garden. The days passed slowly, and boredom became his constant companion. She longed for something, anything, that could bring a little life to her monotonous existence. One day, while exploring the gardens around the mansion, Mary noticed something different. Among the unkempt bushes and tangled plants, she noticed a metallic glint. Curious, she knelt down and began to dig with her small, delicate hands. To his surprise, he unearthed an old key, rusty with time but still intact. His heart raced with the excitement of discovery. With the key firmly in her hand, Mary continued her exploration, feeling like she was about to unlock a hidden secret. She found an iron gate covered in ivy, almost completely hidden by dense vegetation. The gate seemed to have been forgotten by everyone, a vestige of a distant past. With shaking hands, Mary inserted the key into the lock, and with a satisfying click, the gate opened. What she found on the other side was a garden that looked like it had been dormant for many years. The plants were overgrown and wild, but there was still an intrinsic beauty amidst the natural chaos. Once vibrant flowers now faded by time. Trees with twisted branches and mossy paths created an enchanting and mysterious scene. The garden, closed and forgotten, now revealed itself to Mary, offering her a refuge and a new purpose. The secret garden was abandoned and overgrown with weeds, its former glories hidden beneath layers of natural disorder. Vines had enveloped nearly every surface, and wildflowers competed with cultivated plants for space. However, Mary, with a spirit renewed by the discovery, decided that she would restore it to its former beauty. Determined and full of purpose, she began pulling out the weeds and clearing the forgotten paths. To help with her mission, Mary found an unexpected ally, a young gardener named Dickon. Dickon was a country boy, with shaggy red hair and a charming way with animals and plants. He seemed to have an almost magical connection with nature, and his knowledge of gardening was vast despite his youth. Dickon was fascinated by Mary's enthusiasm and agreed to help her transform the neglected garden into a flourishing paradise. In addition to Dickon, Mary also had the help of her cousin Colin, who was ill and confined to his bed in the mansion. Colin was a pale, frail boy, with a personality initially as bitter as Mary's before her discovery. He had spent most of his life believing he was destined to die young, and his physical and emotional condition reflected that belief. However, Mary, with her newfound passion for the garden, managed to pique Colin's curiosity and interest. With much patience and encouragement, Mary persuaded Colin to get out of his bed and join her and Dickon in the garden. At first, every step out of his room was a struggle for Colin, but the emerging beauty of the garden and the support of his new friends began to strengthen his spirit and body. He discovered new joy and purpose, actively participating in garden work and feeling invigorated by the nature around him. Together, the three formed an unlikely but powerful trio. Mary led with her vision and determination. Dickon brought his practical knowledge and connection to nature, and Colin, with his newfound courage, completed the team with his growing enthusiasm. Day after day, they worked hard, clearing the weeds, planting new flowers and restoring the old flower beds. The transformation of the garden reflected the transformation in their own lives, bringing color, life and hope where before there was only desolation and sadness. As the seasons changed and the garden blossomed, so did Mary, Dickon and Colin. They not only restored a physical space, but also found healing and friendship in their common project. The secret garden, once forgotten and abandoned, has become a symbol of rebirth and new possibilities for them all. As the garden blossomed, Mary, Colin and Dickon also began to blossom. Colin, who believed he was unable to walk, began to gain strength and confidence. Mary, who had always been lonely and bitter, began to find joy and friendship. The secret garden not only brought beauty back to the mansion grounds, but it also brought healing and happiness to the lives of everyone involved. As the flowers bloomed and the trees blossomed again, a new energy permeated the air. Mary, who had previously been a lonely, moody child, began to smile more and feel a deeper sense of belonging and purpose. Her transformation was evident to everyone in the mansion, and she gained the affection and respect of those who previously only served her. Dickon, with his gentle nature and love for living things, found the garden to be an extension of his own being. He became even more connected to nature, and his knowledge and skills grew as he worked tirelessly to restore the beauty of the place. The garden became his refuge, a place where he could fully express his passion and share his knowledge with Mary and Colin. For Colin, the garden's impact was nothing short of miraculous. Initially trapped in his bed and embittered by what he believed was an inevitable fate, Colin discovered a new world of possibilities and hope. Each day spent in the garden strengthened his body and spirit, and he began to walk, run, and explore with an energy and joy he never knew he could possess. The secret garden, with its vibrant colors and renewed life, became a symbol of Colin's personal transformation. The secret garden's influence extended beyond the three friends. The mansion, once a place of sadness and seclusion, began to vibrate with new life. The servants and other residents of the house felt the change, and the gloomy atmosphere gave way to a sense of hope and renewal. Even Mr. Archibald Craven, with his heavy heart and tormented soul, could not ignore the positive changes taking place around him. Dickon, with his gentle nature and love for living things, found the garden to be an extension of his own being. He became even more connected to nature, and his knowledge and skills grew as he worked tirelessly to restore the beauty of the place. The garden became his refuge, a place where he could fully express his passion and share his knowledge with Mary and Colin. For Colin, the garden's impact was nothing short of miraculous. Initially trapped in his bed and embittered by what he believed was an inevitable fate, Colin discovered a new world of possibilities and hope. Each day spent in the garden strengthened his body and spirit, and he began to walk, run, and explore with an energy and joy he never knew he could possess. The secret garden, with its vibrant colors and renewed life, became a symbol of Colin's personal transformation. The secret garden's influence extended beyond the three friends. The mansion, once a place of sadness and seclusion, began to vibrate with new life. The servants and other residents of the house felt the change, and the gloomy atmosphere gave way to a sense of hope and renewal. Even Mr. Archibald Craven, with his heavy heart and tormented soul, could not ignore the positive changes taking place around him. The secret garden, once a forgotten and desolate space, has become the beating heart of Misselthwaite Manor. It symbolized healing, renewal, and the power of nature to transform lives. Mary, Dickon and Colin, united by their dedication and love of the garden, found in themselves and each other new meaning and happiness. The beauty of the garden reflected the beauty now blossoming in their own lives, and the secret it held was, in fact, the simplest and most powerful truth of all: the power of friendship, love, and nature to heal and transform. Over time, the secret garden became a symbol of renewal and hope. The once forgotten space now radiated an exuberant beauty and magical serenity, reflecting the profound transformations that had occurred in the lives of Mary, Colin, and Dickon. The flowers bloomed in a riot of colors, the birds sang happily, and the air was always perfumed with the sweet scent of plants in full bloom. The garden, once hidden and neglected, was now a sanctuary of life and vitality. Mary and her friends learned that even in the darkest and most forgotten places, beauty and magic can flourish if given a chance. They discovered that patience, care, and love were capable of transforming not just a physical space, but also people's hearts and minds. The transformation of the garden reflected the internal transformation of each of them. Mary became a kinder, more empathetic young woman. Colin regained his health and joy in life, and Dickon found greater purpose in his natural ability with the earth and plants. Misselthwaite Manor, once a place of sadness and seclusion, has also been transformed. The dark hallways and locked rooms now echoed with laughter and lively conversation. The revitalizing presence of the secret garden permeated every corner of the mansion, filling it with new energy and a renewed spirit. The servants, inspired by the change, tended the house with more zeal and joy, and Mr. Archibald Craven himself began to emerge from his sadness, finding solace in the beauty that flourished around him. The impact of the secret garden spread throughout the community, becoming a story of inspiration and a reminder of the healing power of nature. Visitors began to come from far and wide to see the famous garden that transformed lives, bringing with them their own stories of hope and renewal. The garden became a meeting place, where people shared their experiences and found solace in natural beauty and each other's company. And so, Misselthwaite Manor became a place of joy and life, all thanks to the healing power of a secret garden. The garden, with its resplendent beauty and its story of transformation, has stood as a living testimony that with care and love, any place, however dark and forgotten, can flourish and become a beacon of hope. Mary, Colin and Dickon, united by their shared experience, continued to care for the garden and each other, always remembering the lessons learned and the miracle they had witnessed.